Hello everyone. Today we shall consider the next point under the pharmacokinetics, that is the plasma protein binding and the tissue storage. Though we have seen that under pharmacokinetics generally ADME is involved, that is absorption, distribution, metabolism and excretion. These are the main aspects of the pharmacokinetics, but plasma protein binding and tissue storage in turn may affect the distribution, metabolism and excretion. So that's the reason why plasma protein binding and tissue storage also have a very important role in the pharmacokinetics of the drug. So we shall consider how exactly it is affecting the various parameters under the pharmacokinetics. Now, this plasma protein binding, this particular property, it is the physicochemical property of a particular drug. It is dependent upon the physicochemical affinity of a particular drug towards the plasma proteins. We all are aware that there are specific types of plasma proteins which are present. Okay, mainly the albumin, okay, and the acid glycoproteins. So these are the two plasma proteins to which basically the different types of drugs which are administered may get bound. Okay, may get bound. Plasma protein binding, it is not a must for any particular drug, so it depends, and it is variable. It depends upon the property of that particular drug whether to get bound to the plasma proteins or no, and if at all it is getting bound, to what extent it is getting bound, that is also a characteristic property of that particular drug. Okay, now a specific type of drugs may get bound to specific types of plasma proteins, like say acidic drugs. These generally get bound to the plasma albumin, whereas the basic drugs generally get bound to the alpha 1 acid glycoproteins. Whereas clinically binding to the albumin, this is quantitatively more important. Now coming to the some of the examples of the drugs which are getting bound to the plasma proteins. So examples of the drugs which are getting bound to the albumin. Okay, so acidic drugs which are getting bound to the albumin. The examples include benzodiazepines, BZDs, okay, which are used as sedative, hypnotics, okay, anti-epileptics, anti-anxiety drugs. Then the NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, okay, which are analgesics, antipyretic and anti-inflammatory drugs. Phenytoin, valproic acid, okay, these are the anti-epileptic drugs, and penicillins, tetracyclines, warfarin. Then examples of the drugs which may get bound to the alpha 1 acid glycoproteins, and thus they are the basic drugs. So these include the local anesthetic lidocaine, then imipramine, prazosin, verapamil, quinidine, most of the CVS acting drug and CNS acting drugs. Okay, so these are some of the examples. Now as I have said earlier, the extent to which the plasma protein binding is taking place, not only the binding, the amount of drug which is getting bound to a particular plasma protein, that is also very important, and that is a characteristic property of that particular drug. So you cannot just generalize over a particular class. Even now there are several classes of the drugs. Okay, drugs are classified basically uh, depending upon various characteristics or properties, maybe chemical structure or maybe their mechanism of action. So they are categorized, but even within one particular class you cannot generalize the plasma protein binding. Now let us consider one example of the BZDs, the benzodiazepine. So all these four drugs are belonging to the class benzodiazepines, but if you can see the plasma protein binding, it is always expressed in terms of percentage. If you can see, it is for flurazepam it is just 10%, diazepam 99% is getting bound, lorazepam 90% and alprazolam 70%. Okay, so if you can see, the plasma protein binding within the class is also variable. Now why it is expressed in terms of percentage? Now what is the meaning of this 10% or 99% or 90%? So what is the meaning of this? So basically whenever a particular drug is administered, okay, as we have considered the different routes of administration, so we have seen over there under absorption also we have seen that the bioavailability, that is the amount of drug, extent and rate of the drug which reaches your systemic circulation, that is very important. Okay, so you may administer say 100 milligram of drug, but entire 100 milligram will reach your blood circulation or systemic circulation only when you administer it by IV route. Rest all the routes we have seen that 100% bioavailability is not seen. Okay, some of the drug may not be absorbed, so it depends. Again, absorption is a characteristic feature of that particular drug. It depends upon the property of that particular drug. It is one of the kinetic property. So likewise, whatever drug has reached your systemic circulation, whatever the bioavailability of that particular drug is, say for example out of 1000 milligrams, say 700 milligrams have reached your systemic circulation. So that 700 milligrams which has reached your systemic circulation, so that becomes the 100% of drug which is there in your blood circulation. Okay, so it is considering that as 100% of drug which is present in your systemic circulation, okay, in your blood circulation. Out of that, how much is getting bound to your plasma proteins, that is determined in terms of percentage. Okay, so whatever amount is present in your blood circulation, out of the total amount, just 10% is bound to the plasma protein in case of flurazepam, whereas in case of diazepam it is 99%, and only 1% of whatever has reached your systemic circulation is available in the free form. And we have seen that it is the free form which can cross the membranes. The bound form cannot cross the membranes, okay, because the size becomes very large. Okay, we will come to the implications shortly. Okay, now one more point which can be considered over here is, as you go on increasing the concentration of the drug, these plasma proteins, the sites on these plasma proteins progressively will get saturated, the binding sites which are available. Okay, so as you go on increasing the concentration of your drug in your plasma, binding will also increase in a proportionate manner. Okay, this remains constant always for a particular drug. Okay, whatever the amount is present in your systemic circulation, out of that for flurazepam always the 10% will be bound to the plasma proteins. Okay, so as you go on increase, initially the concentration in your blood will be 0. So as you go on increasing the concentration in your blood, the binding sites also will get occupied, and a time will come wherein all the binding sites will be occupied and it may get progressively saturated. Now, as I have spoken earlier, there are some clinically significant implications of these plasma protein binding. Okay, some important points you need to keep in mind. Okay, about the plasma protein binding. There are certain consequences which may take place, and accordingly it may alter the kinetics of a particular drug. Now the first one under this is highly plasma protein bound, those drugs which are very highly bound to the plasma proteins, like say for example in case of diazepam we have seen it is 99% bound to the plasma proteins. Okay, so this type of drug which have very high plasma protein binding, these are largely restricted to the vascular compartment, that is they will remain in your blood, right, because it is bound to plasma protein. Whatever is bound, that 99%, it won't be able to move out, right, of your vascular compartment, so it will remain in your blood circulation. Okay, because this bound form, it cannot cross the membranes. So this is the reason why such drugs, that is highly plasma protein bound drugs, tend to have smaller volume of distribution. Okay, so volume of distribution, it is the apparent volume of distribution, is a parameter which measures the distribution of a particular drug. Okay, so this is the formula is what we have seen. Volume of distribution can be given by dose administered by IV route divided by the plasma concentration. Now in case of highly plasma protein bound drug, where is your drug? The drug is mainly restricted to your vascular compartment. Okay, so their plasma concentration will be high. And since this plasma concentration is in the denominator, what will happen to this value? If the plasma concentration is high, your volume of distribution will be small. That's what we have considered also with the help of an example. Okay, so they will tend to have smaller volume of distribution, highly plasma protein bound drugs. Then coming to the next implication, the bound fraction of the drug is not available for action. Okay, so this is the figure which we had considered in the introduction part of our pharmacokinetics also, which depicts all the steps in the pharmacokinetics: the entry of your drug, then the distribution, then the storage, and the excretion and metabolism. Okay, now there also we had considered that the drug which reaches your systemic circulation, okay, which the amount which is present in the free form. Now we have seen that certain drugs may get bound to the plasma proteins, right? And this bound form is not available to cross the membrane. It cannot leave the blood, right? So bound form will remain in your blood circulation, and it is in equilibrium with the free drug. Okay, so only a particular percent of drug will remain bound. If it is 99%, 99% will be bound and 1% will be free. Okay, so this free form of the drug is the only amount of drug which is available to cross the membrane, and maybe it will get distributed over here, maybe to the tissues, different tissues, or the storage tissues, or towards the metabolism, maybe towards the liver, and for the excretion. The bound form is not available. Okay, so bound form is not available for action. If this is your site of action in one of the tissues, your free drug can only cross the membrane and reach your site of action. The bound form is not available for action. But what I have said, it is in equilibrium with the free drug. So as this free drug crosses the membrane and reaches your site of action, the concentration of your free drug will reduce. Okay, so what will happen? If the free drug concentration reduces, this equilibrium will get disturbed, right? So what will happen? The bound drug will be released to maintain this equilibrium. Okay, equilibrium meaning not the same concentration. It's not that drug will be available in 50% free and 50% bound form. Whatever is present in your blood circulation, depending upon the property of the drug, that much percentage will remain bound to your plasma proteins. Okay, so since it is in equilibrium, when free drug concentration falls, obviously the bound form will be released. So this plasma protein bound drug, it tantamounts to a temporary storage of the drug. Okay, so as and when required, it will be released. Okay, the next implication is that high degree of binding, it generally makes the drug longer acting. Okay, your drug, when it is bound to your plasma proteins in a greater amount, it will make the drug longer acting. Now why it happens is because this protein bound drug, it just like we have considered in the earlier point that it is not available for action. In the same way, we have also seen that bound drug is also not available for metabolism, right? It's only the free drug which can cross the membranes and go towards the metabolizing organs, right? So bound drug does not get metabolized. It's only the free drug which is available for metabolism, and it's only the free drug which is available for excretion also. Bound drug does not get excreted, okay, unless it is actively extracted, okay, by the kidneys or by the liver. So that's the reason why the drug becomes longer acting, because it will stay bound, right? Only free drug will be removed. And if the drug was entirely available in the free form, obviously rapidly it will get metabolized and it will get excreted out. But when it is bound form, it will take some time. Only when the free drug is metabolized and excreted, the bound form will be released. Okay, even the glomerular filtration, this also does not reduce the concentration of the free form. Now why it is happening? Though through glomerular filtration we have seen that the contents are filtered out, right? But at the same time, in the filtrate, what is also removed? The water is also getting filtered, right? A lot of water is getting filtered. So actually the plasma concentration of the free drug may not reduce because the solvent is also getting removed. Okay, whereas active tubular secretion, that will remove the drug without the attendant solvent. so only the drug is getting excreted out. Okay, we will consider these methods of excretion in detail under the excretion. Okay, so this active tubular secretion, it will result in a decrease in the concentration of the free drug. Okay, so because of the decrease in the concentration of free drug, bound drug will be released. Okay, same is happening with the active transport of the highly extracted drug by the liver also. Okay, so same thing will happen. It will get removed, plasma concentration of the free drug will be reduced and bound form will be released. Okay, now this particular plasma protein binding in this particular situation, it acts as a carrier mechanism, so it will hasten the drug elimination. Since the free form is actively removed, your bound form will be released from the binding, so it is hastening or it is helping in the elimination of the drug. Okay, like for example excretion of the penicillin and all. Okay, now one more point we should consider over here is that highly bound drugs, these cannot be removed by hemodialysis. Okay, because they are in that bound form. In the hemodialysis only free form of drug can be removed. So if poisoning due to your drug has taken place and if it is highly bound to plasma protein, hemodialysis will not help. You need to go for some other technique for removal of the drug. And the next implication is generally the plasma concentration of a particular drug which we express, that should consider both the bound form of drug as well as the free drug. Okay, so say for example in case of in vitro testing, like MIC, calculation of the MIC of the antimicrobials, so the degree of plasma protein binding should also be taken into consideration. Okay, so it's not that only the free form of drug, because once the free form of drug is utilized for the action and when it is removed, bound form obviously will be available for the action. Then the next implication is the binding sites, pertaining to the binding sites and the competitions. Now one particular drug can get bound to many sites on the albumin molecule. Okay, so it's not that one particular drug will have only one binding site, it may have more than one binding site. Conversely, more than one drug can also get bound to the same site on the albumin, so that is also possible. So this will not possess any problem, okay, when one drug binds to many sites. But when more than one drug bind to the same site, then there may be a problem. Like say for example, if two drugs are administered at the same time and if their binding site is same, what will happen? Both of them will try to bind to their binding site, so there may be competition in between the two, and sometimes there may be displacement interaction. That is, if one drug is bound to the binding site and then if you administer the second drug, what will happen? The second drug may displace, it may remove the first drug from the binding site and it will try to occupy that particular binding site. So this displacement, it depends upon the affinity of a particular drug towards that binding site. So the drug which is bound with the getting bound with the higher affinity, that can displace the drug which is bound with the lower affinity. Okay, so displacement may be possible, so it will push away that drug from that binding site and it will itself get bound over there. So what will happen over here? Because of this, the drug which was already bound, it will be released free. Okay, free plasma concentration of the free drug will be increased if such displacement interactions can take place. Now say for example, we'll consider this with an example. Okay, now suppose if a drug is bound in a percentage of 99, say for example diazepam we have considered. Okay, it is bound to the plasma proteins 99%. Okay, so whatever amount is present in your blood, out of that 99% is bound to your plasma proteins and 1% is available in the free form. Okay, now supposing if you administer another drug which can displace this particular drug which is bound to your plasma proteins 99%. So what will happen? If that second drug displaces just 1% of this bound drug, what will happen? Okay, 1% is already available in the free form, 99% is bound. Now you are adding or you are administering a second drug which can displace just 1% of this bound drug. What will happen? 1% of the drug will be displaced. It will be set free. So what will happen to your plasma concentration of free drug? It will become 2%. Okay, so what is happening to your actual concentration which is available for action? It will be doubled, right? Okay, so the concentration of the free form will get doubled if just 1% of the drug is freed out of 99% which is bound. Okay, now actually though the plasma concentration of the free drug is getting doubled over here, it may not be clinically significant, because whatever drug is available in the free form, it will immediately cross the membranes and it will reach the site of action, it will get metabolized or excreted. Okay, so immediately it will try to adjust and a new steady state plasma concentration will be attained. Now these displacement interactions, these may not be clinically significant unless even the metabolism or the excretion is also inhibited. Okay, so if the displacement interaction is taking place, free plasma concentration is increased, and if the metabolism and excretion is also inhibited, then what will happen? That then the drug will start accumulating in your plasma, that is free form will increase. So this will create a problem. Okay, so if you administer two highly bound drugs, it is not necessary that both of them should displace each other. Okay, because the binding sites may be different. Okay, so they may get bound to the albumin, but if their binding sites are different, they will not displace each other. Say for example, propanacid and indomethacin, these are highly bound to albumin, but they do not displace each other because their binding site is different. Similarly, acidic and basic drugs, they cannot displace each other, because acidic drug, they get bound to albumin, and basic drug we have seen that they get bound to the alpha 1 acid glycoproteins. So what will happen if you administer these two together? What will happen? Will there be any interactions? No, because their binding sites are totally different. Their binding proteins are totally different. So there won't be any displacement interaction. So there are very few displacement interactions which are clinically significant. So these include aspirin, which can displace the sulfonylureas or methotrexate. So toxicity of these drugs may be precipitated. Or indomethacin and phenytoin, these can displace the warfarin. So warfarin free concentration will be increased and warfarin toxicity may be precipitated. Then the next implication is the changes in the amount of plasma proteins. Like say for example, in case of hypoalbuminemia, wherein the amount of albumin in your blood may be reduced. So what will happen? The binding sites will be reduced, right? So binding will be reduced because less of albumin is available to get bound. Okay, so very high amount of drug will be available in the free form. Okay, say for example, phenytoin or furosemide is a highly bound drug. So in case of hypoalbuminemia, wherein albumin amount is reduced, they may create a problem because more of drug will be available in the free form. Even certain other diseases may also alter the drug binding, like say for example, pethidine and phenytoin binding is reduced in case of uremia. Propranolol binding, it is increased in case of pregnancy and in case of patients who are suffering from inflammatory diseases. So there may be alterations in the binding of the drug and more of the drug may be available in the free form. So that can create a problem by precipitating the toxicity. Then the next point which we can consider is the tissue storage. So like the drug can get bound to the plasma proteins, it can have the affinity and can get bound to the tissues also. Certain tissues, or maybe there are certain examples of drugs which can get bound even to the organelles, the internal organelles. It may enter the cell and it may get bound to the internal organelles of the cells also. Okay, so because of this binding to the specific tissues or the organs, the drug may remain in the tissues for a longer period of time. And if they start accumulating a very large amount, if it is accumulated, sometimes it may even precipitate the local toxicities also. Okay, So there are certain examples wherein the drugs are getting bound to specific organs, the tissues in these particular organs. Say in case of thyroid, iodine may get bound, or in case of brain, chlorpromazine, drugs like chlorpromazine, acetazolamide and isoniazid may get bound to. In case of liver, drugs like chloroquine, tetracycline, emetic and digoxin may get bind into the liver. Then the kidney, drugs like digoxin, chloroquine and emetic may get bound to the tissues in the kidneys. Then tetracyclines and heavy metals may get bound to the bones and the teeth. Okay, so this particular phenomenon of tissue binding, okay, sequestering of the drug in the various tissues, okay, so it will ultimately affect the distribution of the drug. Okay, so they will get bound and they will remain into your tissues. So what will happen to you, to the plasma concentrations? Obviously, when more of the drug is bound to the tissues, their plasma concentration will be low. So what will happen to the volume of distribution? Since it is in the denominator, obviously the volume of distributions will be very large, and this will make the drug acting for a longer period of time, because whatever is in the free form, that will be only available for the action. So most of your drug is in your tissues, and that also remains in the equilibrium, right? So unless and until the free form is utilized or it is metabolized and excreted, the bound form which is present in your tissues, it will not be set free, just like your plasma protein binding. So when the free plasma concentration reduces of a particular drug, the drug which is bound into the tissue, that will also be released. Whereas, as I've told earlier, certain drugs may exert local toxicity also if a large amount of drugs remain bound. Like say for example, tetracycline may have toxicity in the bone and teeth where it gets bind to. Chloroquine may have retinal toxicity. Streptomycin, vestibular toxicity may take place. Then imatin, it may have toxic effect on the heart and the skeletal muscles. Again, apart from this, even the drugs get bound to the internal organelles also, as I have told you. So tetracycline, it may get bound to mitochondria. Chloroquine can even get bound to the nuclei of a particular cell after entering inside the cell. Okay, so this is to do with the binding and the tissue storage. Some of the important questions pertaining to this part is the note may be asked on the implications of plasma protein binding, or the justifications may be asked in this particular of these various implications. Then a note on plasma protein binding or a note on tissue storage may also be asked, so wherein you need to explain them in detail with the help of examples. Thank you.